Thanks to everybody. Now we had a 3-day session here in Sun City between the MEC of Cogta and other MECs, a representative of the National House traditional leaders, its chairperson Khosi Siatlolo. The Northwest traditional leaders were led by the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders in the Northwest, Khosi Maloyi. We also had representatives from the mining houses, including the hospitality industry around here. Now, the purpose was mainly to discuss a few things. The first one, this was a working session between the MEC responsible and Makhosi in the Northwest. Firstly, it was to give them a feedback on the issues that they raised with the Deputy President last year in September. The Khosi had raised about 44 issues, which they felt that both the provincial government, national government, local government must attend to. So this session was to give them a feedback as to how far are we in attending to issues that they raised. But the second part of the discussion was to give them an opportunity to interact with ourselves on challenges that they face in their different communities. The third part, because as the MEC of Cogta, and with an emphasis on cooperative governance, I have a responsibility to ensure that all sectors, both the public and the private sector, we work together, we plan together. So I had to bring all these sectors together in order for us to put our plans on the table and say what is it that we are going to do to attend to challenges of service delivery in the Northwest. The courses did indicate what are the issues, what is it that they are doing, what is it that they expect from government, and what is it that they expect from the private sector. The private sector did the same thing, both the mining and the hospitality industry, indicating that what is it that they can put on the table and why is it necessary for us to have what I call an integrated plan on service delivery in the Northwest. And we are quite excited that the private sector did indicate that they've set some funds aside to assist us. And we did raise that there are basically 3 critical areas that we will need to attend to. First is load shedding, because load shedding is affecting each and every aspect of our lives. The second one is water, particularly provision of running water in this province, which is a serious challenge. The third one is the state of our roads in the entire province and in particular in this region. And lastly, generally, issues of service delivery wherever you go in the Northwest province. So we have had a very good interaction and so on. We are going to have another session, and in that session we'll be bringing in the private sector again, all our municipalities, all our coaches. In that session, everybody will be putting his plan on the screen. IDPs of different municipalities, what is it that they are planning, the plans of provincial departments in the Northwest, the plans of our courses, and what is contained in the labor plans of different mining houses and so on. And once we have done so, we'll then try our best to integrate all those plans into one plan, because we are now talking about one plan, one budget for the entire province, and begin to reprioritize. you will know by, or you should be knowing by now, that some of these mining houses, they want to invest in areas where they do mining or where they are mining. We have said to them, one of the things which we would want them to present in our next session is to indicate to us what is it that they can do in areas that are outside their mining areas. And they've agreed to do so. Because what we want to make the Northwest Province the #1 province in the country as it relates to issues of service delivery. And we did also indicate in this meeting, by the way, which is very important that I must raise, that this province is very rich with minerals, if not one of the richest in the entire country. Bojanala alone, 70% of platinum in the world, not in South Africa, comes from this area, and so on. But if you look into our different areas in the Northwest, we are very poor, but at the same time we are rich. So we need to address this particular challenge. And that's the message that we have sent to everybody. And we are hoping that they will be able to achieve our intended objectives. And I must indicate that I'm happy with the relationship that we have. Now we are going to solidify this leadership, this relationship. It's an important leadership between us, the private sector, and our communities led by our coaches. The other thing which we also had to zoom into, which we felt that is very important, that this session must interact with it, is issues of the demarcation. We had invited the demarcation board to come and make a presentation on suggestions made or presentation made by different individuals as to what should happen and so on. And we gave our courses or the COSI an opportunity to also make comments on what was presented by the demarcation board. They will still make their comments or their submissions to the demarcation board because the closing date is the 30th of April this year. Because what is important with that area in particular is to ensure that we don't take communities that are under a certain leadership and put them in another leadership, which is causing unnecessary problems in the province. This time around, we want the demarcation board working together with us to ensure that we do things correctly, things that will benefit the people of this province. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. We will take two sets of questions. The first round will allow the NEC and the leadership to respond, and then thereafter will allow you to ask questions for the second round, and then we wrap it up. And when you speak, please introduce the media house you are representing and the name. Thank you.
And it is not compulsory to speak if the MEC covered everything.
Yeah, no, if you are covered. So you'll be number one. You'll be number one, number two. You'll be number three, Dr. Zedlon. So we've got three questions for you. You'll be number four. You can start. Please. Yeah.
Thank you. Kawana Hilane represents Chava News. Also, I may Nono. Mo imprimiri jaga ele lulas dilo wa provinsi jam perusahaan ile mukul kamar mulai fakir mereka masuk pada lima khusus jam oleh si rodumo lisa bisa khusus baru mono provinsi yang bergabung mai kelelo ni mai fumakin wana ele khusus sudah transfer le sakwa di mana zawa masih jaga boleh bayi Eropa kena resmi pak khusus kena lefam balik kita eri ikan nak khusus robesi kata mula khusus banyak lah jauh. Mais ici pour faire là, les monos africains pour là, on est provincial KwaZulu-Natal, itlhomile thata kwa pele ebile e bontsha gore ba tlhompa le go tlhokomela kgosi ya bona. Ke a leboga.
I just wanted to ask the MC, how far is Cogta on resolving the Nakatala Council for Hosi?
Who's the third one? Third one isn't one.
First question would be, how will MEC, how will the Department of Cogta deal with the issue of working relationship between the government and the force? Because we understand that at some point, some so-called councillors will fight with the courts, especially when there's a project that's supposed to take place in certain village. How are we going to make sure that there's a good relationship between the force and the government, looking at the councillors' side? And the other issue, there's an issue of the other one came where there's an issue of who should be the host within the tribal authority. How are you going to deal with that issue in Tanzania, because in order to make sure that there's a stability within those traditional leaders? The last one is the issue of D account. How are you going to make sure as the department that you resolve the issue of D account? Because in the previous administration it has made headlines. How are you going to make sure that the D account is the thing of the trust going forward? Thank you.
The last one.
How far is the administrator for because for example, one of the objectives so based on that. And then we understand Premier Bushima. I had now over certificate is a recognition, is a permanent to Ramani Ramano. Hence, finally, the pending court issues or matters. So, you was already never said maybe court of the High Court, PDU, then even now, a permanent recognition certificate.
No, I did indicate that on my extreme left is Re Khumalo Molefe, the chairperson of Salga in the Northwest Province. On my immediate left is Khosi Maotwe, the provincial chairperson of the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders. On my right is Khosi Siatolo, the chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders. So they are here to answer questions. So all your questions are directed to the MEC, they are here. So, so you must also pose questions to them. Now, Firstly, what we must know is that we respect the cause, all of them. And we accord them the necessary respect because all of us, where we come from, there are causes, the cause where we come from. So it means whether we like it or not, we belong to a cause. So we respect them. Now the situation between South Africa and other countries is different. England is not South Africa. They have their own ways of doing things. Here in South Africa, we have our own ways of doing things as Africans, here in South Africa. So we'll never compare ourselves with England or any other country in Europe. If they want to compare themselves with us, that's up to them. But we do things our own way, the African way. Secondly, we have said our causes in the Northwest are equal. And they get the equal respect from all of us. And that is why we are here, amongst others, for these past 3 days. In order for us to address challenges that might be faced by the COSI in their different areas. Where there are challenges, we must be able to attend to those challenges. Now, the situation, again, in other provinces is not similar to the situation in the Northwest. Each and every province has got its own dynamics, whether it's political, economic, or social. So as and when you respond to issues in each and every province or in each and every area, material conditions will dictate as to how you should address those issues at that particular time. So you can't just compare and say, yeah, in Lesotho the king is like this, why not in the Northwest, and so on. Situations are different, and we attend to situations in the same manner. Now, the dispute in Bakata Bakafela, one of the things which we raised in this meeting today was that firstly, we have a house of traditional leaders, which amongst others, and that is not the only responsibility, which amongst others must also attend to issues of disputes. And I have said to the House of Traditional Leaders in the province in particular, that before we can attend to disputes as the province or as government, we will refer those issues to them in order for them to process those issues and so on. So we'll work together with the House to attend to these issues, because we are not going to work in silos, because we are together in this situation. So the same applies to the issues of Bakata Bakafela. As you know by now, the Premier has signed or issued a recognition certificate. Now, all MECs are serving on the pleasure of the Premier. We are appointed by the Premier. He is the one who is having original powers or constitutional powers. All other powers are delegated to us by the Premier. Now, once the Premier, having followed the laws, having followed the Constitution and so on, takes a decision to recognize a COSI, all of us who serve in that executive, we must then work with a COSI that is recognized by the Premier. Now, this does not mean that other citizens or any other person can't go to a court of law if he or she seeks a recourse. So anybody can go to a court of law. So if somebody is in a court of law and so on, status quo will remain up until the court decides otherwise. So all of us, we are waiting for the outcome of the court processes. Once they come and so on,